Hello everyone and welcome. This is Dr. Gerard Cuomo. I'm going to be doing a short video on our Florida Atlantic University pre-dental mentorship program. This is the end of session 6. And so first of all, let me describe what we're looking at right now. This is an impression of a typodont tooth, and obviously the tooth is in my hand right now, but this is the exact replica of what the impression is taken. So this is the final impression. Tooth number is 30, and I don't have the typodont here, but we're going to be looking at and comparing what the students have made. A project that we have been doing for several years now. Finally, we were able to bring in a CAD CAM setup where the students were able to copy their tooth preparations, and convert it to a digital file, and then from the digital file we were able to make a virtual porcelain crown. Now this is the acrylic crown that is made in class by hand, and notice it has all the marks for contacts, occlusion, and as well as margin. So this is the final temporary acrylic resin crown as it fits the typodont tooth. And if we look closely, there are some flaws made. We always talk about, well, what things can change within in this technique. Well, number one, the impression. There might be some distortion factor there. We don't know. Number two, the model itself, when we pour that up and make a stone model. So this is what the students are making right now, and so you notice a lot of work applied to the models. They have to be individually removed and sawed out on the stone. There's a powder water liquid to powder ratio that has to remain constant, so we weigh the stone out and measure the water with a graduated cylinder, and then mix the two together and come up with an outside the mouth typodont, or laboratory work. We also call this an articulator. Okay, so why are we video recording? Well, we want to compare the human effort versus the computer rendition. So our local lab has been kind enough to make these for us, and so here we are. Each student has scanned and has made a virtual model. This model is made by an outside company, and this is the permanent crown that was made. So let's compare the two. This is the temporary resin. This is the ceramic. Let's put the temporary on the permanent model and see how that fits. Well, it seems like that seats fairly tight. We notice that the distal contact might be shy and the mesial contact's a little tight. So that's what we notice first. And take that off. Let's try the permanent crown on the model that was made in class. So we'll slide that into place. We notice it's a little tight going in. It might even be abrading the adjacent tooth as it does that, but it was a little tight going in, but finally it did snap into place. We also notice that the margins are very, very good. We discovered that there were some areas during the scanning technique that we weren't quite comfortable and confident under the contact, but the representative for the company was able to help us scan and capture a pretty decent rendition of our preps. So this is it under the microscope. Now you're going to see this is the handmade die and the crown that fits the handmade die, and you can see it's pretty flawless. I can't see any significant daylight coming through underneath this margin. Maybe just ever so slightly there. Again, looks like the scan and the handmade are almost identical to each other. Alright, so this is the permanent crown, seated on the handmade model. Now we'll back this up. We'll put our temporary that we made by hand, again just looking at the margins and seeing if there's a little better or less better fit. Looks like we might be a little shy on the buckle, but it looks closed, but maybe a little over polished. Lingual looks good, and the mesial and distal aspects look good. Again, comparing the two as much as we can. Now let's take a look at the die work, the virtual die work, otherwise known as the computer-generated die work. Now this is these models are just amazingly precise. They actually, all these components fit very precisely together. There's absolutely no gap spaces whatsoever. The machine actually creates one die and then creates the next part of the model, and then everything is just fitted together. There's absolutely no grinding or milling at all. This is done by a print process, and so a virtual die is made. We also, I guess some other people would probably call it a stereolith model, possibly. We'll call it a computer model. Anyway, this is the die work. Now we're going to place the final crown, porcelain crown, on that, and you're going to notice that it is basically flawless throughout. And you can blow that up even higher. Just a precise fit that we have. And now we'll take that apart, and let's put the permanent. Again, we're looking at that. Flawless. Now, how about the contact area? Oh, even before that, let's put our handmade crown on the computer-generated die, and let's see what happens. Well, looks like we've got an almost exact fit. It's not quite seating all the way. Not quite seating all the way. So there's something internally, excuse me, there's something internally holding us up. And we would have to find that out by adding an indicator in there. What we've been doing in class is taking a pencil and just literally covering the top of the prep and then pushing the two together to see where we might have an area that's holding this up. Now, what the lab will do is they're going to make a modification for the thickness of cement. So that's something called a die spacer, and that's added to the top of this preparation. And then the crown, that's done virtually. Then the crown is made to fit that. Now that's why this crown fits very nicely on top of that. Let's just see how tight it is. Absolutely no resistance whatsoever. So there is some die spacer that's applied to the program, and I'm not really going to cover that right now. Again, we're just observing our results. So a little tight on the final die here, which we could eventually make that all, connect. Now, what about the contact areas? We covered the margins, but what about contact? Well, we looked before on this man-made model. We'll put that together. Let's see how this goes together. Here we go. That we had a little open contact for the permanent on there, and we didn't understand that, the whys. So it would be a good idea for us to check the typodont. I'm going to be doing that with the next video clip. Okay, so let's review again. This goes in place. Actually, this fits fine. on the man-made perfectly. Okay, so, and we'll put this together. Now there are little, I want to say there are numbers associated with actually letters. This is the part. These letters A, B, and C line up with A, B, and C, so we'll do that. Slide it a little bit in there like that till it clicks. And then again, here's the die itself. This one says 758. Should be some lettering on that. I'm going to assume, there they are. D, E, and F. This is partial lettering. That slides in like that. And then of course the last part, let's see if we can see the lettering. Oh, there it is. Okay, so we have part of the F, the G, H, I, and J. So we'll line those up and push them into place like so. And again, there's absolutely no daylight. These are just made individually by a computer to fit inside of this precisely without any spacing whatsoever. And then this is the final fitting perfectly on top of that. This is our man-made an open distal contact. So keep that in mind when we go to look at that on the Typodont. Now occlusion I'll also cover with the next video clip, and we'll look at that as well, because this fits the man-made. Maybe a little light on the distal contact. We'll see. We'll look in the Typodont. Maybe. Alright, so stay tuned. This is all about man versus computer, where you have, I want to say we worked on our temporaries for 4 sessions. We did other things as well, but basically this is the culmination of the man-made acrylic resin crown made indirectly on laboratory model work and then in the Typodont. And of course our scanned computer-assisted design, computer-assisted milled crown, virtually made. Some students got models, some didn't. Some just got the crown back. Model work is just an option. If you need it, it's available. If you don't want it, you don't have to have it. But practice, practice, practice. If you get good at scanning and your margins are easy to read, you may end up with just scanner in your office. I'm not going to say that 100% of your cases you're going to be scanning, because some of them are going to be more difficult. But for our class, it seems like most of the students did real well with the scanning technology. Soon to find out. I haven't checked their work yet. I'm going to go do that now. Hope you liked this video, and stay tuned. The next one should be even more exciting to watch. Take care. This is Dr. Gerard Cuomo. We'll see you on the next video.